Welcome back to Press Play Action here on Jersey Nerds Productions. It's Mitchell Lea alongside Tommy Grant and Brandon too. And I got a big old smile on my face. I look like a doofus right now. But that's because we're talking about two movies that have been a major part of my life. Christopher Nolan, you did it. You concluded the Batman trilogy with The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. Guys, this is going to be a fun one. So let's stop jerking each other off under the table and get to it. The Dark Knight came out in July of 2008, July 18th, 2008, directed by Christopher Nolan, starring Christian Bale, Heath Ledger, Gary Oldman, Aaron Eckhart, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman. Just a stacked cast.
This might be one of his most.
For one of my trivia questions.
Glenn Powell.
We got that trivia question, okay?
Oh.
What other movie opened as the same weekend as The Dark Knight? Because believe it or not, this movie was the biggest opening in box office history when it came out.
Hey,
it was not the only movie.
I had that written down.
But it was not the only movie to come out that weekend. It was not the only substantial movie to come out that weekend.
I don't feel like Googling this. Brandon, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not Googling. I was trying to put stuff in my letterbox, but
I'll give you a hint. It is nothing like The Dark Knight as far as tone goes, but it does have a good, a very committed fan base. I have never seen the movie, but I have seen its sequel, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like,
2008.
There's a sequel to this movie?
There's a sequel to this movie. Yep.
Interesting.
All right, what genre? Give us some hints here.
Musical.
A musical.
It has a sequel?
Yep.
That's crazy.
Just one sequel?
Just one.
See, when you said tone,
it came out 10 years after.
When you said tone, I was like, "Does the boy in the striped pajamas? Like, is that what you're going for?"
No.
Like, what do you mean tone?
No. Stop it.
Oh man, I don't know. Man, I really don't.
I don't know that many musicals that have sequels.
All right.
Sequel. Oh, Mamma Mia.
There we go. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that came out.
That just popped in my head because I was like, what movies have a sequel? Like musical wise?
I would say that was like Barbie and Oppenheimer, but like if there was a lot less interest, not to say that Mamma Mia doesn't have its fans. Dude, Mamma Mia did very well for its
I like Mamma Mia a lot.
Yeah.
The duos were going on back then. I totally would have seen Dark Knight and Mamma Mia in the same.
Oh, that would have been a fantastic double feature.
Yeah, I love.
I haven't seen the first one, but the second one is really good. I really like that one.
Wait, hold the fucking. You've never seen the original Mamma Mia?
No, I've only seen the second one, but it was really good. Lily James.
The original is better.
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
All right,
I haven't seen it.
That is your homework for the weekend. You have to watch Mamma Mia.
Bitch, I have enough homework as it is. I'm trying to watch 18 more 2010s movies to do an entire podcast about 129 movies that came out in that year and rank the whole damn thing. I got enough homework for you, Thomas. But okay, let's talk about The Dark Knight. Because this movie, coming off of Batman Begins, the hype was real. And I wasn't watching movies at the time. My movie watching love came in 2009 for some stupid ass reason. And we'll get into that trivia question much later because I actually want to talk about this damn movie. The casting of Heath Ledger as the Joker was something that a lot of people, and again, internet culture was very different in 2008, but it was not a very popular casting, especially coming off the back of Brokeback Mountain. Yep. Probably a lot of homophobia to deal with that as well, for being honest with ourselves. But you know, the type of movies that Heath Ledger made were not the Joker type of movies.
I think it was also.
And then the trailers came out for this movie.
Just how many people wanted that role, though.
And then the trailers came out for this movie, and everyone shut the hell up because as soon as you heard him, saw him, you just knew. And then, unfortunately, before the movie came out, Heath Ledger did pass away. He died about 6 months before this movie came out. So all of his work was done. But so there was kind of a mystique around this movie, right? to a much lesser extent, it was kind of like Furious 7 when Paul Walker died, kind of while they were making those, as that movie was kind of all like in memory of Paul Walker, and like, you know, come see how they handle that. There was a mystique about like, hey, so Heath Ledger died, but he's really good in this movie. So come check him out, and it's a great sequel to a movie that everyone loved 3 years ago. And so the hype around this movie was just an unstoppable beast that even someone like me that, again, I didn't start watching movies until, or like going to the theaters a lot until the next year, but even I couldn't help but hear about it all the time. But I didn't see this movie in theaters. And I regret that. Although I did see it in theaters last year. Regal was doing a bunch of Christopher Nolan movies, and so I got to see it in theaters for the first time last year. And that was an experience I will never forget, because it's always been one that I wanted to see, because, spoiler alert, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. There's no use in trying to be like, maybe I'll give it a C-. No, like, fuck that. No. We gotta let people know right off the gate, this is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Mitchell, you have a poster right up next to you, don't you?
That's for a different movie.
Never mind.
That's for a different movie.
Sorry, my fault.
We'll talk about that later. But this movie picks up not like right after The Dark Knight or right after the Batman Begins, but close enough where it's about Batman and people know who he is now, and the mob fears him, and the Joker's like, okay, this is my opportunity, because the mob activity's kind of gone down because the Batman's roaming the streets, as we get this epic scene at the beginning of the movie in the bank heist where the Joker goes in and he starts taking some of the money from the mob, and you see just how well run the Joker organization is, but also that he has loyalty to no one and will do anything just because he feels like doing it. I think that scene is a fantastic way to set the movie up and let you know the world that we're going to be operating in for the next 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a better opening scene.
No,
like,
I can't agree with that.
Perfect.
I mean, no.
It's not even my favorite opening scene in this trilogy.
That's a fair point. That is a fair point. But I'll say this. It's top 15 opening scenes of all time, in my opinion. I mentioned like Greatest Showman, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Like, I always mention those two. This scene is fucking awesome. Like, it just sets everything up, like you're saying, Mitchell, and just the lines and the way Heath Ledger delivers it. Like, oh no, I'm just waiting for the bus driver. And then the bus comes ramming through the wall, and then it's like he just shoots her. It's just, it's really incredible. It's incredible.
Heath Ledger's take on the Joker, because
he
definitely draws inspiration from, like, Jack Nicholson's Joker, of like the kind of the comedic take to it, but he just brings that element of just pure psychopath, and it's that beautiful blend. And you see Jared Leto try and take that, and he just completely flops it. But this
let's focus on the good stuff.
It's just perfection.
I was really hoping we could go without the words Jared and Leto during this.
Just for this fact that Heath Ledger holds the title of the best Joker.
Correct, and even after Joaquin, he still holds the title of best Joker.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson has a very good Joker. It's not the same as this.
Again, his dedication to the fact that he did the method acting. He spent 6 weeks.
He didn't do method acting, because everyone that was on set with him said that he was the most lovely person in between takes, and he was not method acting.
See, I heard the opposite, in the fact that he, during like in between takes and stuff, that he was like, walking around staying in character, mumbling to himself, stuff like that.
No, because I saw an interview with the guy from the we'll get into some. If you haven't seen this movie, honestly, what the fuck planet have you been living on?
What can we just spoil this?
The guy that plays Gamble.
Yeah.
There was an interview with him, and he said that Heath Ledger was one of the most fun people he's ever worked with, and was very collaborative as
But-
far as like, hey, do you mind if I do this? And he actually directed Christopher Nolan allowed Heath Ledger to direct some of the scenes that were more
That
of
I
a,
did hear. Yep.
like the scene where he's got that one guy and that's dressed up as Batman, and Heath Ledger
Like, the home
directed that.
scene.
Yeah, and like
Hmm.
that's horrifying because that's a scene
Why?
that really like Heath Ledger as the Joker. We could have an hour and a half podcast about this performance alone because it
Right.
really might be it might be my favorite performance ever, because this is a true performance where, and the makeup sure helps, but I do not see an actor. I just see a character.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I do not see Heath Ledger whatsoever.
Oh,
I only
you
see
don't even recognize him. Like,
No.
it's not Heath Ledger.
There's so many. I mean, the scene in the fucking kitchen where they're having their little mob meeting, and the pencil.
Mitchell,
I
the
mean,
pencil
love that.
scene is incredible because it's not only
It's
like
dark comedy at its finest.
yeah, but it's the comedic timing. Like he gets it. Like he's playing Joker as like this comedian, but like with timing and like vibrato and like just an edge to it. And it's like whoa, don't touch me, I might blow this. Like it's just
Look,
like it's
I
incredible
watched
work.
this movie for the first
incredible
time
work.
in my living room with my mom and my dad, and when that happened, I could tell that they were just kind of like, yeah, that's not really what I expected, and I was like, all right, this is not what I expected. You know, like let's do this.
Yeah.
This is awesome. So many scenes with the Joker are just absolutely incredible. I mean,
I mean,
I have no idea how to structure this review, to be completely honest, because I feel like I'm talking about a loved one when I talk about this movie. I don't feel like I'm talking about a movie. So, as far as the Joker goes, and he is the most memorable part of this movie, but that does not mean that there are not other memorable characters for sure. The interrogation scene between him and Batman, I think, is
Absolutely.
one of the greatest
Yeah.
scenes, period.
Mhm.
And the way that Heath Ledger is just able to, it almost seems like everything that he throws out is just like some bullshit, but some like carefully curated bullshit, if that makes any sense. Because
Yeah.
like he has multiple stories about getting scars, like the one that he tells to Maggie Gyllenhaal, and I like how the camera is constantly spinning in that scene. And then when he says one day they carve her face, he says it with an intensity, and the camera stops. And I'm just like, all right, Christopher Nolan is in his bag. I mean, the whole movie, he's in his damn bag.
There's no flaw in this movie. The cinematography is beautiful. The score is epic. I mean, we can say
Hans
that
Zimmer really cranks up the tension
yes.
in just about every movie, but this movie in particular, because it feels more like a crime drama than it does a movie starring Batman.
Yeah.
It feels more like Seven than it does a Marvel movie, or even the Batman movie that came out recently, which I do love.
Yep.
But this felt like a crime drama in a way that I really admired. I think a lot of that has to do also with the fact that you have the more the angle with the district attorney Harvey Dent, and him working with Lieutenant,
Mhm.
later Commissioner Gordon, and Batman, and the three of them working together. I was really interested after Batman Begins to see where the relationship with Gordon would go, because that seemed like something that it was definitely going to build on.
Yep.
But including Harvey Dent, who I don't think Aaron Eckhart gets nearly enough credit for his role in this movie, because you have to love him, and then you have to hate him, and you have to understand why it gets from one point to the next.
It was the
And I think
beautiful
Aaron
story of
Eckhart did
corruption.
that. He did that beautifully.
It was just, he plays the role perfectly of like, he's just, the stellar guy, and just things go wrong and he just goes fully corrupt. It's just a complete 180. And the fact that he references his nickname of being Two-Face earlier on in the movie was great foreshadowing for what his character ends up being. But fun fact, alternate cast. Do you know who was considered for the role and who Nolan actually wanted to be Two-Face in this movie?
Who's that?
Matt Damon. Matt Damon was Nolan's #1 choice for
Oh,
this, and other actors that were considered were
that would
Ryan
have been
Phillippe,
cool.
Hugh Jackman, Mark Ruffalo, Liev Schreiber, and Josh Lucas.
When you do a role as well as the actors in this movie have, you're unable to see anyone else
Yeah,
playing that
I
role,
couldn't
because
see
I
it.
think that this is the best role of Aaron Eckhart's career, and I've liked Aaron Eckhart in plenty.
Mm-hmm.
But he is, I mean, he also, the way that he's a good yeller.
Yeah.
Like the way, like there's a scene where he's in an
It's a good
alley
call out.
and he's talking
It's like
to
Tom Cruise
Schiff.
running levels of yelling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's yelling at Batman because Batman's telling him, like, look, you can't be doing any of this stuff. I'm gonna call a press conference and turn myself in. And Harvey Dent's yelling at him, and I'm like, good God, this guy is just. And then there's another scene in the hospital where he's yelling at
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Mm-hmm.
or no, the Joker, or maybe both. And he's
I think it was
such
the Joker. I think it was the Joker.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's such a good yell. And I know that scene gets a lot of comedic play. I know Sarah loves it because it's like, really, you didn't know that was a Joker until you took off the little mask. Really, like it's funny, but the intensity remains the same because every character in this movie, you don't have people treating it like it's a superhero movie. You have people treating this like it is a deathly serious Oscar contender. And in the wrong hands, that would have been a horrible idea. And you would have people going, but I missed the campy, goofy Batman. That bitch is dead.
No, that is gone and buried and will never
We
rise
killed
again.
George Clooney a long time ago.
Get him out of here.
Yeah, no. This movie is death, and it is not afraid to get, it's called The Dark Knight. This movie is bleak as hell for most of the runtime.
Yeah. I think Nolan captures the darkness, quote unquote, of Gotham and just the dark side of the city and the nastiness of it. And that's the most impressive part. Is you got all these like awesome scenes and great cityscapes, but then when you get into like the mob part of it, you get into the slums, it starts getting grimy, it starts getting nasty, and he just captures that element of the city so well, and it translates to the screen as like, oh, this is a dark ass Batman movie. Like this isn't just like like you were saying, like your normal campy, oh, what we know about Batman. Like, no, this is like
You're not
pretty
gonna have
heavy
Arnold
stuff.
Schwarzenegger running around on set.
No.
Yeah. I was gonna say, although I do like the Mr. Freeze, I do like Mr. Freeze. I don't think like you're gonna get those type of characters in this Batman movie. You're just not.
I think something that this movie does really well that at least I haven't heard many people talk about, because it's very easy to sit and just set up the microphone and go, oh my God, Heath Ledger was so good in this movie.
Yeah.
And the action was great and Two-Face was great. But I really think that Christopher Nolan and the technical part of this movie, I mean, a lot of people like to talk about that truck scene and how that was practical, how they actually flipped that truck, and how the fact that they did that just makes it so much more intense and fun to look at. But also, Gotham feels like a place that exists.
Mm-hmm.
This feels like a place that has years of history and is very lived in. And like, just from people walking around, all the environments are full with people. Like, there's a scene where the Joker is talking about like, if you're in the city, you're mine, but I have something in mind for the people taking the bridges and tunnels. And they cut to people in like a bar watching it, and it just looks very much like a city with people panicking. And it the way that they did Gotham in this movie was very different than the way that they did it in the first movie. The first movie almost felt a little bit, I don't want to say cartoony, but it felt very
It had the
in a
vibes of the
different
old
way.
Batman.
Yes. It
It
felt
kind of
a
had
little
like
bit more like a set.
it had more like the old school campy, classy kind of vibes, like
Mm-hmm.
Metropolis sort of Gotham.
Yes,
Whereas
that's a
this
good way
one
to put
took
it.
that, but made it more realistic and kind of merged the two.
Yes, I think that's a fantastic way of putting it. Very, and this movie, after it came out, everyone was obsessed with like, okay, we have to make realistic versions. Like after this, we got Skyfall in 2012, which was like the realistic James
Yeah.
Bond, and like, hey, that was incredible. I
Yeah.
love that movie. And we got a few others that can't really come to mind at the moment that just weren't the most well realized of that type of thing. Because not everyone can do it in the same way that no one can, and not every property is meant to be realistic and gritty and that type of thing. But this felt like a Batman, very much like, and hey, this was a good year for superhero movies. There were only a few, but Iron Man
I was
came
gonna
out
mention. Yep.
to start the summer, and that also had a feel of like, in a weird way, this could happen. These aren't like, no one's talking to aliens or anything like that. Like these are all things that like maybe with the right money, the right people, could happen. And The
Yeah.
Dark Knight was a very similar type feel, I think even more so than Iron Man. And I'm not hitting on Iron Man. I love Iron Man, but there's levels to this shit. And The Dark Knight is on levels that just very few movies ever
Well,
reach.
Mitchell, you brought up like the technical, but like the cinematography, like the skyscraper shots are absolutely incredible.
The
Just like
Hong Kong scene,
yeah, it's just like the way they can like take the camera and like sweep over like the city and like yeah, yeah, the Hong Kong scene is a great example. Like they sweep over Hong Kong and they come in and they focus on like the little meeting between Fox and the villain, and I think it works. And we haven't brought up Morgan Freeman and Gary Oldman, but like those two performances are phenomenal. Like
Gary Oldman deserves a lot more love for his role in this movie because he turns in some really solid work here.
he
I think that
grounds the movie is what I think he does. Yeah,
He
yeah.
does. And he's got a good relationship with Batman, but you also feel the pressure of like trying to work with Harvey Dent. I think that Gary Oldman, and again, I cannot possibly imagine anyone else playing this role more so in this movie than in any of the other Batman movies.
Hmm.
He is really Michael Caine again as Alfred. He always, him and Bruce Wayne are having a conversation, it, gold. The
Yeah,
movie's so incredibly well written. The dialogue is fantastic.
I think those three characters, Fox, Kane, Freeman, Kane, and Oldman, like ground the movie into like this is real. It's about real people and real
And
shit.
Maggie Gyllenhaal as
And
well,
yeah,
because
same,
we
yeah,
talked about in Batman Begins how we thought that Katie Holmes was unfairly lambasted for her role in that movie, that she did a better job and didn't deserve a Razzie nomination for that
I
movie.
can't believe.
That
I
was
still can't believe she got a Razzie. Like that's incredible.
that was insane. However, I think Maggie Gyllenhaal's a lot better in
Yeah,
this
that's
movie.
fair.
I think she's incredible, and I think you feel the history between her and Bruce Wayne even more in this movie than you do in Batman Begins, and they spend a lot more time on it in Batman Begins.
Mm. Yeah, I think her character of Rachel is just like it provides an edge to Bruce Wayne and Bell, where he can almost like grasp onto the emotional history of it and like really lean into that aspect of it.
It
I
And
think
then
definitely
also
we see that in the next movie too. Like
I think it
it
also
breaks
helps
him
in
almost.
this movie and the next one is the fact that we have these very grounded actors that
Hmm.
are able to play characters that know who Bruce Wayne is. The fact that he's
Mm.
Batman and having
It
that,
gives that level of
and it brings it more. It makes it more realistic because
yeah.
you have the fact that you have people that know who he is, and you have those conversations where it's like they're kind of playing, talking in code, and like you just have a whole another level of depth. Whereas Batman Begins is like no one really knew who he was except for
Outside of Alfred.
Alfred and
Yeah.
Fox, really.
Yep.
this is also the movie by far Okay, wasn't watching the movie with a stopwatch or anything like that, but to me at least, it seems like this is the movie that we got the most Batman. And I really like what the other movies do as far as Bruce Wayne goes. And if you have a complaint, you a bitch. But if you have a complaint about this movie, you could say that there's less Bruce Wayne and there's more
Yeah, but who
Batman.
cares? But that's the whole
But I
point.
think that
I
this
think
movie
it's not even
requires
that.
more Batman.
It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
even that. It's the fact that the scenes where Bruce Wayne is in the movie, they're for really interesting dialogue pieces with other characters, like the whole dinner
Mostly with
scene,
Alfred.
Like,
mainly
well,
with
yeah,
Alfred, but
Alfred, but
the
like
dinner
Harvey
scenes
Dent's
with Two
line where
Face. Yep.
you either die a hero or become long enough to be or live long enough
Wow,
to
you
become the
really messed
villain.
that up.
I got it. You
You
live
either
I
long
mean,
die a
enough to
hero or
my
you
become.
live
my
long
other
enough to see
favorite.
yourself become the
I
villain.
I literally was fixing it, and then you just cut me off. So you're a terrible person, Mitchell. Is what you
But
are.
I
also
do
the
suck.
whole the dinner, like the whole fundraiser party where he just goes around as Bruce Wayne, just knocking bad guys out, knocking out Two Face to basically put him unconscious and hide him. So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you see Bruce Wayne acting as Batman,
Bruce
like
Wayne's in
he
Same
gets
with
this
the
that
like,
car,
unexpected.
with the Coleman Reese scene, and
yeah.
he's
Yeah,
driving his Lamborghini trying to get to Coleman Reese's car.
But also, I do think there's like comedic elements that I feel like Nolan threw in there just to be like, let's laugh about this a little bit. And there's definitely more of those in Dark Knight Rises. But like the scene where the SWAT is like chasing Joker in the vehicle, and one of the characters just like screams something. Like it's really funny stuff. And it's like, was Nolan trying to be funny there, or was he like not? And so like
I
I do
think
think
so.
there's
'Cause
elements where like it's fun and it's funny, but at the end of the day, it's like a dark comic book movie about Batman, and I think that's what really drives home.
I think the fact that it was about the Joker allowed this movie to have a little bit more comedy in it because of
That's true.
how well
The
Heath Ledger's dark
the
comedy
pencil
comes out.
scene where he's like, "Want to see the pencil disappear?"
But it's like all of his dialogues. It's like he's just
Yeah,
like so unhinged that it's kind of a little bit comical, but it's still very dark and serious at the same time. Whereas Batman Begins, you didn't have anyone of that level. Like there was no comedy. There was no purpose for comedy.
yeah,
And
that's
Dark Knight
fair.
Rises, there was still no purpose for
Well,
comedy.
there's no purpose, but I think there is comedy in
Yeah,
Dark Knight
yeah,
Rises. I definitely do think there is there. But
It's also edited expertly. Like there's a
yep.
scene and the edit of it just kind of gives me chills every time
Are you talking
because
about the interrogation?
no, although I mean that scene is just like the greatest thing. And the way that the movie flows so well
Mm,
because you go from that intense car chase scene with the Joker and the SWAT car and then Batman comes in and that's just all sorts of just epic and awesome. And then it just goes right into the interrogation scene. And it's like, oh, we're going from one incredibly amazing thing into it's like watching someone juggle a bunch of things and you realize there's like 170,000 things you're juggling right now and
right.
you haven't skipped a beat
The
and
back
you're
and
just
forth.
going at this exceptionally high level and maintaining it. But there's a scene where towards the begin I think it might be the beginning of that car chase scene where the Joker's in that truck and he's downtown and there's this cop that comes up to him and goes, "Hey pal, you ain't like the rest of us." And the Joker just cocks a shotgun and shoots him and then it just
Mhm.
cuts away and you see an overhead shot of the city and there's a fire truck burning and the Hans Zimmer score is going and I'm like, fuck, you
I
Yeah.
really
love
set
the
the mood
Joker.
so well in this scene.
I
Right, like
love the scene
Nolan's
with
in his bag with that. It's like let me find a way to set it here.
that and the scene where Joker's just driving the cop car away and he's just like sticking his head out the window doing like the Jim Carrey Ace Ventura kind of.
That might
Oh my
be
I
god!
the
That's
that might be
so
the
good.
lasting image that I have
But that's what I
for this
mean.
entire movie.
Like you could
That
take
is
that
that is a hand Heath Ledger and Oscar
right
scene, but also
because
Christopher Nolan should have received something.
I can't believe he didn't.
Yeah,
But like Ledger understands, like when I was talking about like comedic timing or just like timing in general, like he almost like gets it, like it's a feel thing, and he just captures it so well. And to be completely honest with you, Mitchell, I wrote in my review of this, when Ledger is on screen and like by the camera, it's almost like he grabs it and he just starts taking it with him, and he starts whirling around the room, and he's like, "Look at me, I'm the Joker," and he like captures that essence so well that it basically makes the movie like what it is, because like that's at the end of the day, it's like Joker versus Batman and that relationship and the back and forth pull and tug between those two characters. And I just feel like if you put anyone else and it's not Heath Ledger in this role, I don't think it works. I just think Heath Ledger gets it. Like he gets like, I have to be this certain way in order for this relationship, this tug of war to like happen. And I mean, you mentioned with the interrogation scene, like the back and forth in that scene is just absolutely insane. And then like the dialogue of like the when he gets handcuffed and the other officer is there, and he's like trying to get the other officer to like break a little bit, and he's
Oh
just in
yeah,
his
I just
head
want
and
my
it's like,
phone call.
yeah, yeah, I just want a
That
phone
whole
call. Oh,
sequence.
I'm gonna enjoy this.
How many of your friends have I killed?
Yeah,
Everything is gold.
it's just gold.
Well, there's one minor thing that
Okay,
I don't even have a problem with. I just wish it was as good as some of the other big ones in the movie.
can't wait for this.
The whole like Batman getting to the Joker using the sonar and like that whole sequence.
He's
I just
Batman. He
I
can do anything he wants.
it was good. Most other movies it would be a highlight, but it just wasn't as exciting as a lot of the other
Mm.
action set pieces that we had seen.
I
But
think
go ahead.
I think that it was the only strong point in the sense that I'm glad they showed him using gadgets, because I think the one weakness I had with this trilogy is the fact that you don't see Batman using as many gadgets that like he's historically known for. He
Yeah,
has them, but a lot of the times it's mainly vehicles or he's just fist fighting.
Mm-hmm.
or he like uses the grappling gun, but like you don't see it or
Yeah,
something. Yeah,
whereas
yeah,
like in the comics, like Batman's got like this whole just list of different
yeah.
tools and
That's who
gadgets.
he is. Like he at the end of the day, like he's a trained fighter and like can like handle his own fighting, but he's a super smart billionaire individual that has all these different technologies that he
Whereas I
wants.
feel like in these movies, he relied more on Fox to be like the detective to kind of do all the
Mm,
legwork for him.
the
But again,
technology aspect.
it's I don't think it takes away from anything. But the scenes where he's actually using his gadgets, I'm like,
It
all right,
would be
I'm
like
glad they used
Bond
them
and Q in like the Bond movies.
Yeah,
Like Bond
exactly.
is like less into the tech side, and Q is like,
Yeah,
whipping up all
that's
these
like one of my
technologies and
only
stuff.
gripes with this trilogy. But it still doesn't take away from how great the movies were.
That's fair. No, that's a fair point.
Let's talk about the end of this thing and wrap it up. So this movie ends. Batman, the two boats. Neither one of them blow each other up. Batman subdues the
Well,
Joker
the
before he's
scene
about
with
to
the
blow them up.
prisoner, the scene with the prisoner who's like,
They
"Give me
got
that."
Debo from Friday.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
always
Debo from
distracting to me. I'm
Friday.
not gonna lie.
It does crack me up when I see it. But his line where he goes, "Let me do something that you should have done hours ago." It's just like, yeah,
I just
I
expect him
just
to go, my bike, punk,
yeah,
because I
I
just know him as Debo.
yeah, no, that is true. But that scene, even that like plot point, it makes you realize like, yes, this movie is dark. It's demented in ways,
But there's
but at
some
the end of
hope.
the day, there's hope. And yeah, that's the biggest thing is
Yeah.
there's hope.
So Joker, he's telling Batman at the end, I wasn't gonna risk losing the fight for Gotham's soul in a fist fight with you. No chance in hell. My long term play was Harvey. And then Batman's like, oh fuck, I gotta go deal with Harvey now because he's
Hmm.
been out killing people that had to deal with Rachel's death from
Yeah,
earlier in the movie. And so Dent and Gordon and his family are there, and so he's doing the whole like, hey, I'm flipping the coin. We'll see who lives or
which
dies.
by the way, what an incredible like plot device. Like,
And
let me flip the
also
coin
just
to see if you live.
it's simple. It's maybe
Yeah,
a little bit repetitive, But Hans Zimmer's score in that movie, I don't even know how to describe it, or in that scene, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's just eerie.
It
It's
matches.
something like,
Tense.
for me, when I watch movies, the score is usually something I pay attention to the least. And this is one
I'm
of
quite
them.
the opposite.
Like if I'm watching something, like if someone says, "Hey, listen to the score," like I'll pay attention. But like usually, I'm going more for the visuals. But this is definitely one of the movies where it has always stuck with me. And you can play any sound from the soundtrack, and I'm like, Dark Knight. Like
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
so
Right.
well known, and it's
Zimmer
perfect.
knew what he was doing in terms of that type of stuff. Like I think he makes it memorable in that aspect. And yeah, we can get to the very end, Mitchell. You can go ahead and say the
Yeah.
quote because then
Batman.
they recycle the quote, and I think
Well,
it's brilliant use of the quote.
Batman or Harvey Dent's about to kill Gordon's kid, and Batman tackles him, and they both fall off of this little like ledge together. Dent dies. Batman is hell bent on Harvey Dent's the real hero. You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Wrapping that quote around from
Great
the
quote.
beginning of the movie and saying that Harvey Dent needs
He
to be
has
the
to be
one.
the guy. Yeah, he
He's got to
has
be
to
the
be.
heroic one here. So I'm going to take the blame for all this. Um, and you guys are going to come after me. You're going to hunt me. You ain't going to catch my ass, but
He's like,
you're going to
"You'll hunt me. I expect you to."
one of
He
the
just-
great and they make this decision that they're going to kind of cover up all that, and Batman's going to
yeah,
take the blame for it. And then Gordon, in one of the best like end of movie speeches I've ever heard, he's explaining to his son, who's like he didn't do anything wrong, and he's like, we're gonna hunt him because uh you know that's what needs to happen, because Bruce Wayne just went on this whole thing about like how people deserve to have their faith rewarded. So yes, this movie does have a little bit of hope, but it's also kind of built on a lie, which we'll get to in the next movie.
Mhm.
um and you know that whole thing about he's the hero Gotham deserves but not the one it needs right now.
right. That
So we'll
famous
hunt
quote.
him. So we'll hunt him because he can take it, because he's not a hero. He's a silent guardian, a watchful protector, the Dark Knight. And then you just see Batman drive off. And
And
if
then
I had
Zimmer's
seen that,
music just hits, and the
if I had
yeah.
seen that movie in theaters on opening night, I think I would have just been a puddle of just tears.
I was gonna say you
Um,
probably would have stood up and
I
started
I did see
applauding.
this
You
in
probably
theaters
would
when it
just
came
like,
out.
what
oh,
was
you
that like?
did.
What was that like?
I
It
know.
was
I don't. We don't
so
know that.
this 2008 was a great year for me in terms of movies. This was the year I became a true like comic book nerd.
It's a good year
And
for it.
well, that was the thing. Like I had seen the Spider-Man trilogy, I had seen Batman Begins, I was into it. I saw this movie, and I just remember sitting in the theaters just like, I stayed for the credits. Whereas normally I got up and rush out. I was just like, this was awesome.
Just
And
That's
like
a
then
staying there
movie
and
that
like
you
like
just
shortly after
clapping.
sit.
that, I saw Iron Man, and it's the same effect. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
I was like, I am invested. I am all in, and I am still invested to this day. I am a diehard comic book junkie. Like, you can't beat it, and you still can't beat this movie.
No.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
number 3 on the IMDb top 250. The only movies above it are Shawshank Redemption and The Godfather.
Yep.
I mean,
Only
that
two.
makes that makes complete sense to me. Like,
It is the
look, I'm not
highest
gonna
ranked
mince.
movie of the 21st century so far.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna mix words, Mitchell. I'm good. It's a top 20 movie of all time for me.
Rated up.
Yeah, this is an awesome movie. I mean, as you can tell just from us talking about it, like this is one of the best comic book movies of all time. This is one of the best movies of all time. Yeah, I do think it would be in my top 20. I'm giving this an A plus 90.1.
Wow, that is remarkably low.
I know it's a little bit lower than you would
This is
expect.
one of the rare movies where I feel like I can say that, because
Yeah.
you throw out the A plus 85 plus
I
quite
mean,
often.
that
I
would
was
still put it in my top 20, Mitchell. That's kind of what I'm
all
getting
right.
at. Is like,
Tommy, take it away.
I'm at a plus 96.
wow.
I get to be the highest one on
love
this
it.
movie.
Well, okay,
Oh, we know
Mitchell,
you
if
are.
you give this like Shawshank Redemption levels, are we
Well, I
going
gave the
that high?
Shawshank Redemption an A plus 97.31.
Okay.
I'm giving this a 98.75.
Oh my god, let's go.
I gave Inception a 99.49, so it is behind Inception.
So I
But
have to ask, do you have any hundreds?
I do not have any hundreds. However, the movie that I think could maybe be there, I'm going to rewatch this weekend.
Okay.
So I will not say what. If you know me, you probably know what it is. But I haven't watched it in years. And so I'm curious to see how it is now that I'm in a different state of mind, so to speak.
Mitchell,
Not like drugs or anything, just mental health. You know.
to put this in perspective, I gave Shawshank a 98.9. I gave Inception a 98.1. I gave Whiplash a 90.1. So when I say it's a top 20 movie of all time for me, it might be top 10.
I also
Like,
want to add
Would you
in,
give Dune and Interstellar?
I gave Interstellar. Let's see. Well, I gave Dune. Oh my gosh, I gotta look. I gotta look for it. I gave Interstellar 90.5, and I gave Inglourious Basterds an 85.7. So
I would
again,
also like to go on record that this is my favorite Nolan movie.
okay, yeah. I mean, I can't even argue with that. I think Tenet is my
Oppenheimer's a
favorite,
close second,
but
but this is my favorite.
yeah, I
We
think
will
Tenet's
get
my
to-
favorite. But
We will
I
get
really
to
like
ranking
this.
them at the end here after we do this
Oh, good. Okay.
this last movie. And by the way, Dark Knight, highest grossing movie of 2008, made $533 million domestically and $1 billion worldwide. This
Not
was just a
also
movie
that,
that was
it's
in the
also
bag.
known it is the first film to be filmed using IMAX. It's the first
Mm.
comic book movie to gross $1 billion.
Yeah,
And it's the largest opening weekend movie of all time.
I should have had this seared in my brain, Mitchell. Dune Part 2, 94.3. So
Damn. Wow. Okay.
yeah.
I'm high on that, but you're even higher.
Yeah.
Let's move on now. 4 years later.
4 years. I thought it was 8.
By the way, no, it was
In movie time.
Yes.
Real time
Yes.
for
The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, which, by the way, no one made Inception between the two. So,
What a run!
exactly.
A run.
This dude was on a massive heater, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't think ever stopped being on that heater. If we're gonna be honest, Dark Knight Rises
There is
came
no
out.
heat check in his.
No, he's just on fire constantly. July 20th, 2012, stars Christian Bale, Michael Caine, Gary Oldman, Anne Hathaway, Tom Hardy, Marion Cotillard, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and Morgan Freeman. This movie had a bigger budget than the first one did. First movie, I think the budget was $185. This one was around $250 because they knew, hey, this movie's going to make a ton of money, and it did. It made $1.1 billion, made even more than the second one did. We're not going to get into it more than this, but I think that gross would have been even higher if it weren't for the shootings in Aurora that happened, the midnight showing of one of the movies, because I remember I did see this one in theaters. I saw this opening day at 10 in the morning because I was just so hyped to check this thing out. And the theater, now granted, they had showings for Dark Knight Rises like every 20 minutes during the day.
Oh yeah,
So,
Dark Knight Rises got like the
Yeah.
treatment in terms
Yeah.
of showings. Yeah.
And I saw it at 10 in the morning. So when I saw it, there actually weren't many people there. There was maybe like 15,
that would
20
make
people.
sense. I was
But
gonna
again,
say
it
the
was
last
10
time we saw a movie at 10 a.m. Mitchell was Phantom Thread.
Yeah, it was no, it wasn't. I saw a movie at 10. I saw a movie at 9:30 this year.
Oh my god, that's
yeah.
incredible. But yeah, go ahead, keep
No.
going.
We saw the Iron Claw at 10 in the morning.
We did see the Iron Claw at 10
Yeah. Good time to see a movie. The Dark Knight Rises, I mean, this movie came out 8 years after, or in Gotham years.
Mhm.
Set 8 years after the events of the Dark Knight, and Bruce Wayne is just like a recluse.
He's a
keeps
hermit.
to himself.
Heartbroken.
He's basically just like they say 9-inch or 8-inch nails peeing into mason jars. Like everyone is just like he's just kind of shut himself off from the world. Meanwhile, Bane is coming, and that was kind of the whole selling point of this movie. It's like, all right, the last time we got a villain in one of these Dark Knight movies, Heath Ledger took home an Academy Award. What's Tom Hardy about to do as Bane? And for those of you that saw the movie Warrior that came out in 2011 with Tom Hardy as an MMA fighter, which could not recommend higher. Fantastic movie. But if you saw that movie in 2011, you went, "Oh fuck, Batman's toast!" Like, because Tom Hardy was just
Batman's getting his ass kicked,
kicking the shit out of everyone. You're like, "Oh, R.I.P." Batman has no chance.
Wait, and he's being trained by Ra's al Ghul? Oh no.
No, he's done. He's done. Originally, the plan for this movie was to have Heath Ledger back as the Joker.
Yep. Yeah. It was supposed to be Joker's trial.
So what? Yeah. So what was that? Was the
I would recommend not doing that. Recent movies about the Joker being on trial have been awful. So I'm glad that movie.
Maybe
the premise was different. Obviously, I wish that Heath Ledger was still.
So
alive,
like because of what happened,
different movie.
Would have been musical.
A trivia question for you.
You got trivia.
I got trivia. So
nice.
the original concept of the movie was to have the Joker on trial. They also had a second villain in place and an actor kind of in line to play it. Who was that actor and what was the character?
I feel like DiCaprio was in line for something.
Correct.
And part of me thinks Riddler.
Correct again.
Was it Riddler?
Yeah,
okay.
There you go.
Because I was like, I don't see him doing like the
Big dick swinging
or Poison Ivy, or I don't see him doing something like that. So Riddler makes sense. Now I will say, the timing of this movie being released, was that because of Ledger? They had to like rewrite everything basically.
Pretty much, yeah. Because Nolan flat out refused to recast.
He didn't want to recast, which thank God. Yeah. But also he was like, "Hey, I just made you $1 billion. Let me make my my weird dream movie." And they're like, "You made us $1 billion. Go make your weird dream movie."
Go make Inception.
And then people were like, "Oh shit, Nolan's a name on his own. So not only can we sell this as Nolan's movie, Batman's movie, the stars that we have, the sequel to The Dark Knight, the anticipation for this movie." It's one of the most anticipated movies of my lifetime, at least for me. I was so pumped to see this, and I think and Brandon, you are correct. I'm looking at it right now. I'm not going to turn the computer around because I got too many damn things plugged in this laptop, but I have a poster of The Dark Knight Rises because this movie was my entire life in 2012. I loved this movie so much. I have the poster of it.
How many times
right here
in theaters, Mitchell?
I only saw it twice in theaters.
Wow.
But that's because I didn't have a job. 2012 Mitchell was very
subscription services didn't.
Yeah, no, I only saw like 20 movies in theaters that year, but I did. And if I saw a movie twice, that's something.
I saw 3 that year, and they were the top 3: Avengers, Dark Knight Rises, and Skyfall.
Wow,
it was a legendary.
I would have pegged you for someone to go see The Hobbit, but.
Oh, did that come out in 2012?
Yeah, the first of the Hobbit movies.
I lied. I
saw The Hobbit.
Bitch.
I saw those 4 movies. I saw The Hobbit, Avengers, Skyfall, The Dark Knight Rises. I saw all of those in theaters. I'm probably like Mitchell. I saw like 15 to 20 movies. Again, broke. Not really.
Hunger Games.
To test your love for this movie, Mitchell, I have 2 more trivia questions.
Oh wow!
Oh, I love it. Let's hear it.
2 more. So one.
The bag with trivia.
This movie redeemed Bane as a character. He appeared in 1 Batman movie prior to this.
Batman and Robin.
Good man.
Bomb.
Second.
Bomb.
What NFL football team appeared in this movie?
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Attaboy. Easy one.
So
Heinz Ward.
Is it actually the Steelers?
Okay.
Well, they don't.
You know what? Let me expand on that.
Destroyers or something.
Yeah, they're the Gotham Destroyers, but yeah.
Let me expand on this question then. So obviously we know it's Pittsburgh Steelers. It was filmed at their stadium. What Pittsburgh Steelers players were in the movie?
All right, so Heinz Ward was the one that returned the touchdown.
Yeah, he was the returner.
Ben Roethlisberger was in there.
Mm-hmm.
Marquise Pouncey was in there. You also had Mike Wallace was in there. I think you had like
so I guess there was more.
Aaron Smith or Brett Kiesel. They might have both been in there.
There was Troy
Um,
Polamalu and Coach
I don't remember
Bill
seeing Paulo.
Cowher
I remember
were
seeing
still
Bill
there.
Cowher, which I thought was weird because he
I
hadn't
thought it
coached
was
the Steelers
hilarious.
because he hadn't coached the Steelers for 6 years at that point.
Yeah.
Mike
Yep.
Tomlin was the coach of the Steelers, so
They
I
were
thought
all
that
in
was
the thing.
weird.
How much money do you think they spent to get the Steelers in the movie? Like, not obviously the brand of the Steelers, because that would have cost way more money. But the idea of the Steelers
I don't
in
know.
the movie, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, they also have the kicker that kicks off the kickoff.
Mhm.
His jersey says Ravenstall, and that
Yep.
was the mayor's last name of Pittsburgh.
yep.
So, because I remember there was also a bet that he would, if the Steelers lost to the Ravens in a playoff game, he would change his last name to Steelerstall, because it was or something along those lines because it was Ravenstall. Yeah, it was something weird like that. But
That's
All right.
hilarious.
anyway,
You know what? I got another trivia question that might be a little more challenging.
okay.
All right. This one is a little more tricky. Christopher
No.
Nolan drew inspiration from a classic novel for this film. What was it?
A classic novel. See, now it's about reading. I can't read.
Well, that's
No,
why
I
I knew it
can't
was going to be
read.
a harder question.
A classic novel.
It was
Now I'm
written
trying
by
to, like,
Charles Dickens.
think of. Oh, Tale of Two Cities.
Tale of Two Cities.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
I was gonna say a Batman comic probably.
I mean,
Well,
come on.
obviously, Batman comics.
Mitchell and I are not learned people, but we know enough. You know.
You
Let's-
silly
let's-
Southerners.
Let's talk about the movie. So we get into this,
Yes.
and I will say, leading off, that you do get a little bit more Bruce Wayne in this movie because there is a large chunk of this movie. You're like, where the fuck is Batman? I
Yeah.
came to see Batman, but
It's Bruce
this
Wayne
movie-
walking around with the cane after. You know?
You do get Bruce Wayne, and I mean they kind of speed run through that whole like my leg, my cartilage, and like some people
Lucius
do that-
Fox just fixes it. It's just
Yeah,
magic.
there have been a lot of people that are like, really, he has a magic leg brace. If anyone on the planet is gonna have a fucking magic leg brace, it's gonna be fucking Bruce Wayne.
Yeah,
Like, come on, stop it.
that's
Stop
what
it, Skip.
That's,
Like he's
exactly
gonna.
what I was thinking in the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
I was like, if any billionaire would have a
No.
magic leg brace, it'd
We
be
don't
Bruce
need
Wayne.
to dedicate 50 minutes of the damn subplot of this movie to the Bruce Wayne cartilage. No, we don't need to do that.
He has
So,
enough money to have a whole goddamn armory of vehicles. He's got money to get a goddamn.
yeah,
leg
no, I'm fine with that. I'm fine.
No,
with that.
granted, this leg brace was like I could kick bricks in and shit like that, which
Yeah.
is kind of like oh shit. But yeah, still,
Give me exoskeleton vibes.
yeah, exoskeleton's a good call. Yeah,
So, Tom Hardy is Bane. We'll get back to the Batman as Bruce Wayne thing, but I think we have to talk about
The opening
Catwoman
scene?
and Bane first. So Bane, the opening
Catwoman.
scene is fantastic. The whole plane scene and the Bane voice is something that I'm just always going to love. I'm sorry, I love it. I know there's a lot of people that make fun of it. The same way that they do the Batman voice, I get making fun of the Batman voice. I don't agree, but I understand. If you make fun of the Bane voice, I hate you because I just love it so much. I love everything about it.
It would be extremely painful.
Like I just, yeah, it's the best.
Let's not stand on ceremony here, Mr. Wayne.
one of us in the wreckage, brother.
Yes, it's I love it so much that I kind of adopted Bane as my fantasy football personality in our group chat. And I would always well, it did. Like when I passed someone in the standings, I would go like, expect one of us in the wreckage, brother. So I made it very obvious for retorts when I eventually lost in the semifinals. But you know, you have to if you take it or if you give it, you have to be willing to take it as well.
Were you born in the darkness, Mitchell? In the darkness of fourth place?
I was left in the darkness. That's what I was. I was left in the darkness. So many all-time great quotes from Bane, like the whole speech about.
It's a very quotable movie.
Oh yeah,
Very.
This is the most quotable comic book movie of all time. I hands down. Hands down.
Between Joker, Bane, and Thanos, we got some gems.
Yeah.
We got some absolute gems.
Tommy brought up the fight scene, or Mitchell did with quoting like the darkness and like oh, you think the darkness like blind, like I'm blinded by the light, or I mean, it's just like incredible quotes. It's
That's
just
also just a scene where I'm like, and I will say, if there's a negative about this movie, and I'm not
Yeah.
as high on this one as I am
Oh yeah,
the Dark Knight
I don't
for
think most
obvious
people
reasons.
are.
It does feel like Nolan didn't put as much into it as he did Inception and the Dark Knight, and he was kind of more like, I don't want to say contractually obligated to make this one, because this is still a fantastic movie.
But it probably ruined his like original idea, and then he's like, I gotta rewrite this, and I gotta figure it out.
It felt like maybe he wasn't quite as passionate about it. But even Nolan on a day where he's kind of operating at 90% is still extremely high level.
Yep.
And that fight scene between Batman and Bane, I mean, that brought everything I thought was going to happen in Warrior to the the forefront, because Bane is a big motherfucker. He's like climbing down.
He beat the
chain.
living crap out of him. I mean, yeah, when he throws him off the ledge, he lands, and then he's just like down the chain backwards.
I just think of that
one. Like, oh shit!
I think of that one episode of SpongeBob where it's like, you gotta have muscles on your muscles. You gotta have muscles on your eyeballs.
Weenie on Juniors.
Yeah, exactly. And like watching, and I've seen this movie recently before I watched it again today.
Yeah.
Something about Batman getting the piss kicked out of him, and like this is never a fight that's like, you never once think Batman is going to win this fight. You only think, oh fuck, how bad is this going to go?
Selena Kyle didn't think that. Catwoman definitely did.
No,
she was like,
and I watched this fight, and I can tell that they've done a great job for the first two movies, because I'm like, one, I feel like I'm watching my dad get the piss kicked out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm actually like hurting a little bit. It's like, this feels wrong. Like I shouldn't be watching this, you know?
But if you think about it, he put all his strength and effort into like,
you fight like a younger man.
Yeah, I mean,
admirable, but mistaken.
Yeah, but mistaken. There's just
from
so
that fantasy
many...
football group chat. All of the Bane quotes are just like fresh. I know them all.
Yeah. No, I think it's too good.
But Anne Hathaway is Catwoman. I mean, she is really.
She's the best.
I think she's the best,
hands down.
I don't think we've gotten a bad Catwoman between Michelle Pfeiffer, Zoe Kravitz, and Anne Hathaway. I think we've gotten three, all entirely different Catwomen, but they're all really good. And this is probably my favorite one.
Yeah, this is the best. I will say that, at the very beginning of the movie, that scene, you like, okay, like what's going on with Anne Hathaway's character? Like, why is Anne Hathaway in this movie? Like, if you were going in blind, you'd be like, who is she? And then quickly you're like,
Princess Diaries, bitch.
Yeah, she's Catwoman. Yeah, so it's kind of a stark turn for her in terms of like, my girlfriend was watching this with me, and she goes, yes, Anne Hathaway doing something that like you're not known for, like switching it up, doing something a little bit different. Like,
well, it's funny because like this was a passion project. Like she really wanted the role.
Yep.
And she did all of her own stunts.
I mean,
really, because she killed it. I thought she did a fantastic job. She also,
can you walk in those hills? Well,
this
I don't know.
This was a big year for Anne Hathaway. What other movie was Anne Hathaway?
Was it Les Mis?
Yes, she won an Oscar for Les Mis.
Which, by the way, she is absolutely incredible in
that movie. Is what made me like musicals.
Her, that's a good call.
I'm very glad to hear this, because I feel like people
hate that movie. They hate that movie.
Hate on Les Mis, and it sucks. Because that guy also went on to direct Cats.
Her rendition of "I Dreamed a Dream" is like might be the best rendition of "I Dreamed a Dream," which is
won her.
My whole point is like
for a good reason.
Yeah. But my whole point is like she went from that to playing Catwoman.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's got
incredible range.
She's got range, and she is the perfect Catwoman for this movie. I cannot see anyone else. They also they considered Jessica Biel. Which like, look, as far as I'm concerned,
it probably would have worked.
Like Jessica Biel, like I already hate you because you're fucking Justin Timberlake, and like that's my job. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I mean, not really, but
Yeah.
I've always kind of been mad at her, and also I just don't think she's a very good actress, if we're being honest.
Mhm.
Sorry, Justin, it is what it is.
I don't think
But-
you believe that. I don't think you believe that in your soul. I think it's about
No,
just.
Okay, well, what movie has Jessica Biel been good in? Name it.
I honestly think Jessica Biel would have been good as Catwoman just for visual appeal, but in terms of acting, it would have fallen flat.
Yeah.
Anne Hathaway got that covered, so
That's what I'm saying.
and she can act, so
Yes.
I'd rather take that.
Do you guys like the goggles being turned into cat ears technology?
Yes.
I don't know if I've ever
like
seen that
because
from
I
like a
was
Catwoman.
with certain characters, I'm
thrown
like, all right,
off.
how is no one gonna make this like
His-
again realistic and not as
Yeah.
goofy? And he found a way to make that work.
So she like
good job.
wears the goggles as like ears, but they serve a purpose. They're goggles. Yeah.
Well, when I was reading up on this movie, because I'm a nerd and have to read up on shit, she actually didn't know she was auditioning to be Catwoman. She thought she was auditioning to be
Oh.
Harley Quinn. So she gave her whole
Interesting.
story, her audition. She came in dressed as Harley Quinn and did this whole Harley Quinn rendition, and said I kept giving like crazy, like psychotic looks at Christopher Nolan, like during the audition, trying to like give the unhinged.
She would also be a good Harley Quinn.
Yes.
Like I think she would be a good
Mhm.
Harley
So
Quinn.
I thought it was pretty funny. Like she went in completely auditioned for the wrong,
Well, because I'm sure some people thought they were still going to cast the Joker, like
Yeah.
they're going to recast the Joker.
I'm sure that's
somehow,
why I played into it too.
and do the
Yeah.
Joker. But no, I like this move from Nolan. I like. Let's just get out of the way, Mitchell. I love Tom Hardy's Bane. I think it's an
Yes.
incredible performance. I think it's awesome.
He does such a
It's-
good job with his eyes because again, he's got that
Yeah.
mask on, so he has to
Yeah.
communicate so much anger with his eyes and then the physicality of his performance. And
And he has to.
I
look
can't imagine
intimidating.
anyone else doing a better job.
Yeah, he has to look intimidating, and he is like Tom
Vin
Hardy,
Diesel.
another actor that has incredible range, where he can do a lot of different things. And this one, like he killed it. Like he did one of the best villain jobs I think of all time.
No, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the pit sequence? Because
Man,
there's a whole sequence where Bruce Wayne has to get out of the pit after
Mhm.
Bane is like, "Look, I beat the shit out of you. I broke
gonna
your
kill
back.
you."
I'm gonna put you in this prison, and you're gonna watch as I torment Gotham." And so he
Right.
has to build himself back up. And I've always felt like, look, this is a long movie. It's 2 hours 40.
To me, that was the weak spot.
See, I think that I agree with you.
I think
but
the
don't.
message was like good, like the whole concept of why he was there,
Yes,
ultimately
to-
rising up. I like that
He
concept.
has to
I
rise
think it was
from the
rushed. I think I could use more
from the
time
ashes.
in there.
Yeah.
I
So-
think it. I think they spent just enough time. I thought it was a little too much.
Interesting, because I'm with Mitchell. I think it was a little bit rushed.
Take that, bitch.
Yeah, no. But I just wanted more time with like the prison almost because I just wanted to like know where Bane came from.
Yes.
What exactly his character's backstory was, and you don't really get it. And
I think they
we
keep
won't
you
talk
at
about
arm's
it
length
next
for that
for the
for
plot
a reason.
twist.
For the plot twist, and like
Yeah.
I'll give the plot twist. They say that a child jumped out of the pit, and that child is Joey King. But that was always strange to me that it was Joey King, but it was Talia. It was Talia, and Bane was the protector.
And you know what? I'll take it back because this scene also did bring us back the wonderful Liam Neeson for a quick scene, which I really
Yes.
appreciate.
Ra's al Ghul.
You
Which
can't you can't have enough Liam Neeson.
So is Roz dead in that? He's
believe
not, right?
so. I believe he's dead.
Then how does he go? Like, there's many forms of immortality. Like,
So
is he like a force
in the
ghost? Like, I don't
Nah,
know.
that's like a hallucination.
I
Hmm.
I think it was more along the lines of a hallucination as well. But like in the comics, there's like the Lazarus pits, which basically allow him to be immortal and come back to life.
Is that what
But
you
I
think
don't think
Nolan's
it
like
gives
hinting
him-
at?
I think so, but I don't think
Yeah.
it gives you the abilities to like force appear in front of people like that. But
Who
it was
knows?
a cool
Yeah,
scene.
who knows?
I'll chop
It-
it up to Hollywood magic and just I don't need
Yeah.
an explanation as to how he got
Because after watching that scene, and then you hear Talia like talk about like, "Oh, you murdered my father." Like, I'm like, but do we actually know Roz is dead? Like, we didn't actually see him die on screen, so it's very possible that he's actually
Yeah,
still out there.
and I think part of this also brings the fact that Christopher Nolan created the perfect trilogy because he was able to call back stuff from the first movie
Yep.
into the third.
So this might be a controversial take. I might get hate for it.
You might.
I would not mind Nolan making one or two more
Yes.
Dark Knight movies.
Why would you get hate for that?
Because I think some people think this is like the perfect comic book trilogy, and I agree it is.
I'm
I
with
agree.
the haters on this one. I guess.
But getting a Bruce Wayne, Christian Bale, like Robin team up with a new villain would be kind of awesome.
See, I would have been fine with the Robin thing because, again, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character as a policeman turned detective. I really liked him in this movie. A lot of people have issues with like, how did you know that he was Bruce Wayne? I get that it was a little sudden for me, but I get it.
Maybe he just leans into that, like he's that good at.
He leaned in him.
Lean on him.
If Christopher Nolan was able to make a fourth movie, I think the best way they would do it is
he's able to. I just don't think he wanted to.
No,
they let him make these movies until he died. If he wanted to,
I would love them to do.
They were like Batman 75.
That's the thing. Like you have like I think this would be the perfect opportunity to do like the Batman Beyond movie.
That's what I'm saying.
Where
like,
you have him being kind of like the Alfred character, where he's the old Batman living in the mansion. New guy comes in. You can have Gordon-Levitt as a cameo. You can have the Batman team up and have Gordon-Levitt being the Batman or still being Robin, whichever, or Nightwing.
Right, you can have him be Robin. Like Nightwing is an option.
But,
like,
but Christian Bale can kind of take over the Alfred role. And have Gordon-Levitt come back as.
That's why I kind of wanted to do it, but I don't think he will. And the reason I want him to do it is because I want him to have his hands on the project. Like I want him. I don't trust anyone else to do that.
Now here's
Christian
an alternative.
Bale has said that he would only come back if Christopher Nolan was directing, and I just don't see that ever happening.
Now here's an alternative. Could we have Christopher Nolan direct the Robert Pattinson Batman movie?
I also don't want him to direct the Robert Pattinson one
because they have a relationship together. Like Pattinson's been in.
Yeah, no, I get that, but I think that I like Christopher Nolan's Batman movies to feel the way Christopher Nolan's Batman movies feel, and I kind of want Matt Reeves to make his own because it's dark in a very different way. Yeah, and I actually think that as far as like starting Batman movies, I think The Batman is better than Batman Begins.
No, 100%,
I'm very curious to see where they go if they ever make this damn second movie.
Yeah, do you remember when we saw The Batman, Mitchell? I turned to you and I said, "This has a chance of a trilogy to like hold up to The Dark Knight."
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that after one movie, I'm willing to give Robert Pattinson the title of Best Batman. However, I think that a lot remains to be seen about his Bruce Wayne. And I think that Christian Bale, and I think really working back to this movie,
he's Bruce Wayne. Like he's Bruce Wayne.
In this movie, I think you get a lot more Bruce Wayne than you did in The Dark Knight. And I think that kind of starting out as such a hermit and then going back into, all right, I've got to get back in the saddle as Batman goes. Fuck, my back's broken. I'm in the pit. I got to build myself back up. I'm not going to die here. I'm not going to let this happen to my city. I'm going to build myself back up. The Rises in The Dark Knight Rises and, pull my city and myself together. I also thought that his relationship with Michael Caine in this movie, I think that Michael Caine, I don't know if this is his best work in the Dark Knight trilogy, but it's my favorite work of his. And at the end of this movie, he makes me cry. I'm not proud. Good Lord.
I'll say it.
Michael Caine crying makes me cry.
Yeah, Michael Caine crying does make me cry too. It's his best work. I mean, that scene with him and Bruce where he's like, I can't let you do this. If you do this, I'm
Mhm.
leaving.
Yep.
Like, that
I
was
felt so
heartbreaking.
much history between those two characters in that
Yeah.
role. And a
It's
lot
just
of movies will
heartbreaking.
try to sell you that, hey, I've known you for this long.
No,
But
you felt
also
it.
just the help of two other movies doesn't hurt either.
I was gonna
But
say, yeah, the
I
fact they
felt like
worked
this
so
was
much together.
this was an older man talking to someone he had known from the moment he was born.
Hmm.
And
And then even
that
when he's
he,
talking to the headstone, like, I failed you. Like,
fuck.
yeah. I mean, it's tough.
Oh,
Like, I'm crying right now. Like, it's a lot. I mean, at the end of
oh
the
my
day,
God. And
I guess we find out
the
that it.
thing
Yeah.
about the headstone that is like, again, Nolan, you just know how to frame things and
Mm.
make things cinematic
His
because
parents and then his
you
headstone.
see everyone there and the speech being given, and then everyone leaves, and you see Alfred, and as people are leaving, then you see Bruce Wayne's headstone, and as the last person leaves, then you see his parents' headstones next, and it's
Mhm.
just Alfred. And it's like, the way this was
But you know
shot, the
what?
way this was
I knew it was
filmed.
going to end the way it ended because Nolan loves to have that throwaway line in the middle of the movie that all of a sudden it's like, hey, this is how the movie's going to end.
Yep.
Like Dark Knight
Whether
Rises, whole, White Knight kind of concept. And this one, when he gives the whole talk about, I wish, like, I go away on a holiday. I wish
Interstellar
I
with,
could be there.
the ghosts.
Mm.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
No one gives you that
Oppenheimer,
little
the whole thing was kind
breadcrumb.
of working its way back to that, what did
Right.
Einstein say?
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. No one gives you that breadcrumb, and then he's like, "Here it is." And
I think that this one was a little bit more obvious than a lot of the other ones.
sure, but I do think the twist of Talia was kind of out of nowhere, if we're being honest. Because if you watch this the first time, you're like, "That's kind of like
I
effed
don't
up."
think I don't think that she's very good in this movie. I'll be 100% honest.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think the twist was bad. The twist was
Oh,
also
you didn't
spoiled
like
for
the
me.
twist. You
This
That and the
didn't.
twist was also
whole random
See, Mitchell, but
relationship
if
they
the
had.
twist wasn't spoiled for you, like
maybe
think
I'm
you
the
would
wrong
react
person to ask
to
because
it.
it was spoiled for me. Like I knew that months before the movie was coming out
Oh, that's
because
gross.
someone saw like a set picture of the coat she was wearing and was like, that's a very Italia coat, and it was in the back of my mind. And
Oh,
so the
that's
entire
Ra's al
movie,
Ghul's
I was
daughter.
like,
Yeah.
I feel like I can't trust her, and then I was correct the entire time. And her death scene, I know it's been memed several times. Her death scene really might be one of the worst death scenes in the history of film. Like, as far as just like, like she puts nothing into that. And Marion Cotillard is a fantastic actress. I love seeing her in anything she's in. I thought she was great in Inception. Another Nolan
It
movie. I
just
think that
didn't work. Yeah, it
she's
didn't
just
work.
not very good in this particular
She's
movie,
just
and
not
it
the
is
dying
what it is.
type.
She's what?
She's just not the dying type.
She died a good death in Inception. We didn't have to see her face. She just jumped off a building. But
She could just jump. She could go.
yeah,
I can't take it anymore.
yeah. But at the end of the movie, you find out the whole thing's about this bomb, right? And Bane's turned this nuclear this energy source into a bomb. And
Foreshadowing
Batman,
Oppenheimer.
I don't think so. I think the most Oppenheimer foreshadowing.
Reactor.
I think the most Oppenheimer foreshadowing you get's the
That was
line
the
in Tenet.
breadcrumb, Mitchell. That was the breadcrumb he left us back in 2012.
He was
No,
like, I'm
I
gonna
think the
make a movie
Oppenheimer
about someone in
foreshadowing
nuclear
was in
reactors.
Tenet because they actually directly reference Oppenheimer in Tenet. That was the breadcrumb.
Interesting.
So this movie here, it ends with Batman. He's flying out the bomb, but there's a throwaway line where they mention that there's no autopilot, and so Batman is dead, except for the fact that he's not dead because you find out that he fixed the autopilot.
He's living in
And
Florence.
he's living in Florence or at least he's in Florence
with Selena Kyle.
with Selena Kyle, and him and Alfred have that little like silent acknowledgement that hey,
Oh,
that things
you
are
are alive?
yeah. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character is revealed. Hey, your name's Robin, and he's going to basically take over.
Your
We never
first-
see any of that because there's no sequel to this movie. There's no
But
spin-off
that's
to this
my-
movie.
But that's the thing.
need
Nolan
it.
loves
We
every
need-
single one of these movies. Nolan has left on a little bit of a cliffhanger, like, "Hey, something could happen if I decide to come back and make another one."
Like same with Tenet.
He
Like
leaves it off
there
perfectly.
is that little like
It's a
I love
beautiful ending, but he
right.
says, "Hey, there's possibility for more if I want to."
Right. It's the same with Tenet. Like I love Tenet. I think Tenet is Nolan's best film.
The fuck?
But there is a possibility. I mean, outside of Inception is his best film. So second best film. But
Look, I am a giant Tenet defender, but
we're
I
not doing
cannot get
rankings.
on board with
We're
that.
not doing Nolan right.
no.
You're
Okay.
right. We'll get to that.
We're not doing the rankings right now. But Inception, Tenet, Dark Knight is like
You're
all-
ranking. You're ranking. Stop.
Alright. My whole point is he did the same thing with Tenet. He left this little like there could be a sequel. Like if I wanted to write one, there could be like a character, like the character goes back and like we get the whole backstory between the two characters. Like you could do that, and that's kind of what he did with this Robin thing. He's like, there's a chance I could write like another movie, but he won't. I just really wish he would, if I'm being honest. Like that's what this trilogy left me with was, man, that trilogy was like almost perfection, but I didn't want it to end. I was like, write another one, please. Like just please write another one. Like that's how I felt about it. So that was my whole point in saying all that.
Rank it or not rank it, rate it. We'll rank
No,
it.
I'll rank it right now.
I,
It is my 8th favorite. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm giving this one a B 80%.
Oh my god.
What?
I almost threw up when you said
Okay,
that.
so
What?
Tommy, I don't think
I
you've
said-
mentioned a single negative thing. So you need to start talking
Yeah, that.
negatively.
Not,
Why is this a B? Give me reasons.
all right, so first
That
off,
came right the fuck out of nowhere.
to me, this movie felt a little too long, first off.
Okay.
Second, my biggest gripe with this film, and I have it with other Batman films that came out more recently, not the Batman, but other ones that we won't name, is the fact that you have Batman in the daytime and everybody seems to fucking know who Batman is now. The whole concept of the Batman character is he does everything at night and no one knows who the fuck he is. Everybody knows he's Bruce Wayne. All the villains know, pretty much half the good people know. So there's no mystery behind the Batman. And that like 80% of the movie, he's doing Batman stuff in the daytime. That's my biggest gripe with the film.
Interesting.
Okay.
Right,
I think those are. I will say that. That explains why we're different, because those are things that don't necessarily bother me, but I get why they would bother someone that's a little bit more like entrenched in the Batman
Yes.
mythos.
Lore?
Yeah.
the Lord,
Again,
Yeah.
For me, a B ranking is not a bad ranking. Whereas you guys
No,
are very
that's a bad
meticulous with
ranking?
your like.
No, it's still a positive ranking for sure. It's just, when you're talking about a Christopher Nolan movie, you might get shot.
Should you be saying?
Not by me. No, God, no. I don't own a weapon,
Good,
So,
good.
No.
You want me to go ahead and give mine, Mitchell? Because it's not a B.
Oh, go ahead. No. I feel like we're gonna have the same rating.
Yeah, it's not a B. This is an A plus 69.2.
Ooh, wow, very, 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 very high up. You give out the A plus high ratings like nothing.
It's The Dark Knight Rises. What the fuck are you talking about?
This movie's also number 71 on the IMDb list. So
it's number 55 in my heart. I don't fucking know.
I gave it a plus. It's a 24.56 for me.
Yeah, so it would have been like a top 10 movie that year, probably.
It would have been a top 10 movie. Well, I will say, I've gone through some 2012 movies already because as you know, I'm working my way through the decade and getting my top 10 lists right. It's currently number 3 I have a lot more to watch. I have over 80% of the movies from that year to watch, but I already know what's behind both Django Unchained and Silver Linings Playbook. So
Yeah.
hard to argue, especially with Django Unchained. I think that's one that's gonna get a lot of people to be like, yeah, no, I prefer Django Unchained as well. All right, wrap things up. We've reviewed 10 Nolan movies. I've got my ranking ready to go, so I'll buy you guys a little extra time in case you don't have your rankings ready to go. But from worst to best, my number 10 is Batman Begins. Again, all these movies are A and higher, so there's nothing that I'm like poo-pooing on. Number 10, Batman Begins. Number 9, Tenet. Number 8, Memento. 7, Dunkirk. 6, The Dark Knight Rises. 5, The Prestige. 4, Interstellar. 3, Oppenheimer. 2, The Dark Knight. And 1, Inception. Those are just amazing 10 movies. So
I was not.
if you haven't
ready
been
for
watching
this,
along,
bro.
that you've done something incorrect.
Yeah, I wish I was told before this that we would rank because I don't have it all in one list, but I can go next because I think I know what my rankings would be just scrolling through the one list that I have. Unless do you have it, Tommy?
Nope, you go
I
for
can go.
it. I am not ready.
Okay, I'll get it. Okay. Surprisingly, I believe my 10th Nolan movie would be Dunkirk, which
That
is
sounds about
surprising.
right.
The Prestige 9, they're like right next to each other. Memento next. Interstellar after that. Then Tenet. Sorry, Interstellar. Sorry, it would be Dark Knight Rises, Dark Knight, then Interstellar, then Tenet, then Inception.
Oh, you guys are gonna fucking hate me.
Wait, I'm sorry. What order did you have? Were you doing that from best to worst or worst to best?
10-1. So Interstellar 1, Dunkirk 10, I believe.
Okay.
I might have missed a movie.
So Interstellar, give me your medal again, your top 3.
My top 3, which I was saying earlier, is Inception, Tenet, and Interstellar. So
number 2.
Yeah, so Dark
Tenet
Knight
number
is not even
2.
on the medal stand, but that's how much I
Wow.
love Nolan movies. Interstellar and Dark Knight are like right next to each other, so they're like interchangeable.
And your gold was Inception?
Yeah, Inception. I mean, Mitchell,
Okay.
that's a 98.1 A plus.
That's the one that we have in common because I had
Yeah,
Dark
yeah.
Knight silver, Oppenheimer bronze. What about you, Tommy?
Oh, Oppenheimer would have been behind Dark Knight. Sorry, so
Okay.
Oppenheimer would have been fifth.
So still not on the medal stand.
Get
Yeah,
ready.
not on the medal
Get ready for the hate fest.
I already hate you.
I know this is about to be like Oppenheimer 10.
No.
No,
never
no,
do.
I know that
No.
much. It's not.
All right.
Inception 10.
Number 10, I have Tenet.
That's fine.
Number 9, Memento.
Okay.
8, Inception.
You motherfucker.
I know that's terrible. That's just an awful take.
7, The Prestige.
He's walking.
And
He's
then
walking.
6, Dunkirk. 5, Batman Begins. 4, Interstellar. Or no, I'm sorry. 5, Dark Knight Rises. 4, Interstellar. 3, Batman Begins. Dark Knight Rises. Oppenheimer. Or
Wait,
Dark Knight.
Okay, so Oppenheimer's your favorite one.
I think in terms of cinema wise, Oppenheimer is my favorite, but in terms of entertainment, Dark Knight's my favorite. They're kind of like
very
tied
fair.
first.
Yeah, I was trying to explain to someone my love for Nolan, much like Mitchell's love for Nolan. I don't have a Nolan movie below like an A on my list. I'm pretty sure I don't. I mean, Batman Begins is an A. Memento is an A. There's a couple of other like Dunkirk's an A, not an A plus. But
I'm just so surprised that you have Tenet
There's
number
just-
2.
dude, I
I
don't
love
understand
Tenet,
how.
but number
What are
2.
you talking about? Like
You've had
Mitchell,
the Dark Knight.
you also have to like realize that Tenet's number 2 on the Nolan rankings, but all of these movies are like top 10 movies of all time for me. Like I'm gonna go back and like watch like Good Will Hunting and rank that. It's probably one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm gonna watch that and rank it. I'm telling you that Dark Knight is probably going to be like a top 20 movie when I like start actually filling it out. And yeah, I mean I guess that's my case for it. It's like Tenet is like number 8 overall, and Dark Knight is number 20, and they're separated by like less than 2 points. So like I'm not really sure. Like I just love Nolan. Like that's
All right.
kind of my like background.
Well, that's gonna wrap up Nolan November. It is not November. In fact, it's not even.
The Nolanverse. Yeah.
This
We're not
might
even
be
in the
coming.
same- we're not even in the same year anymore.
This is probably coming out in February, so you know. But I'm going to make a surprise announcement for you,
Oh, wow.
you people out here, because I told Tommy and Brandon the next thing that we were going to review was going to be the Mission Impossible movies. That is incorrect. That's not what we're doing. We're going to do that a little bit closer to when the Mission Impossible, the last reckoning until the 3 other reckonings that come after that.
I thought you said the last movie. I was like, that's not accurate.
That comes out in May, so I think we're going to start that in April. But we're going
Okay.
to continue to work down that IMDb top 250. And Brandon, do you know what's next?
The top 50?
The top 250. I think
next-
you guys are going to love this. You guys are going to love this. I can't wait to see the reaction.
So 1 is Shawshank, 2 is in.
Folks,
what is-
we're going
what is-
on a journey.
Go ahead.
We are going to Middle Earth.
Yes.
Oh, that's fucking
Fuck
right.
yeah.
All right, so now I can actually fill out my list. I can
And
tell you
so
Dark Knight
the
would be a
next
top 20
one
movie.
that we are doing is going to be The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, and The
I'm
Lord
just
of
so
the
happy
Rings,
I didn't
Two
Okay,
Towers.
should we do The Hobbit first?
Yes,
Like,
we will do The Hobbit after that. Yes.
oh, after.
Well,
I was like, should we do it
we're gonna do
before
we're
the
gonna do
movie?
Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers. Then we're going to do Return of the King, Hobbit: Unexpected Journey, and then we're going to do Desolation of Smog, Battle of 5 Armies. So it's going to be
Interesting.
a
Now I have
3
a quick.
podcasts.
So are we doing 2 movies per episode? Because those are some beefy fucking movies.
They are, but you know, Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises were also long ones too.
Whoa, hold on. We're watching the extended versions.
Yes.
What are we talking about?
What? We gotta watch. What? I want to watch the theatrical.
You shut your
No,
fucking mouth.
fuck the theatrical release. I
I'm
want
watching-
another hour of
I
fucking
am watching the theatrical version. Y'all watch whatever the hell you want, but I'm watching the theatrical
They
cut.
gave it to you. They're giving you the extended version. They're like, here it is. Watch it, please.
All right.
I watched the one that they put in theaters. Thank you very much. That's the one that matters. That's the one that exists to me. So, but yes,
Incredible.
the next one we will be taking a trip to Middle Earth, Lord of the Rings. Can't wait to do it. People say that that's one of the best trilogies of all time, and we just finished one of the best trilogies of all time, The Dark Knight. So, folks, that brings an end to the Nolanverse. Thank you for listening. Now, go do something else.